All right. Welcome to the Agency Uplift podcast. This is a podcast all about the very unique experience of growing an agency, the ups, the downs, the challenges, the learnings, the opportunities. I think it's going to be really interesting today. My name is Sean Lang. I'm an agency owner of over 7 years, and I'm the co-founder of an agency called Social Commerce Club. And we're joined today by Richard Mechaly, co-founder of Provoke Agency. Richard, on your website, you say that you empower others to tell their story. Well, let's tell your story.
Well, thank you very much. I feel empowered.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, so I guess just to start off, and then we'll just sort of see where this goes. But uh, why did you start an agency?
I'll be brutally honest. I was working in an IT sales job for over 15 years, believe it or not. I was clocking in, going in every morning. The Around year 13, I was just fed up. I was successful. I sold, but I had no longer this drive, and I couldn't figure out how to monetize music. So I figured,
That's a
let's
hard one. As a musician myself, that's basically
Yeah,
impossible at
yeah.
this point.
It was like, Rich, either you do your music thing and you find a way to monetize it and make sure you can provide for your family. And the closest thing, and I really had no experience whatsoever. And all I knew is that I had a very creative side to me because of the music. So I figured marketing, I know how to sell marketing, you know what I mean? And I just kind of fell in love, I think, theoretically with the agency side of things. But then by that time, I had no idea what was cold outreach or anything like that. I just knew marketing, agency, I could sell anything and I'll figure it out. And that's
Figure it
how,
out.
yeah, and that's how I found myself in the whole marketing agency world.
I love it. So you and me are kindred spirits in I think a number of ways. First off, the creative side. I mean, I came to the agency world from the creative side as well, trying to figure out how do I make this work. But I want to ask you: did you find that starting an agency unexpectedly scratched a bit of a creative itch for you when you got into it?
Yes, it's the same thing how I tripped over music. There's a tremendous amount of similarities. It's just like, except it's the language that's different, you know? So
Mm,
it's like in our world, in the outbound world, it's like, what are the right words to make the guy like, I'm interested? And in the music world, it's like, what are the right notes to be like, ooh, this is a nice melody or a good tune? It's the same idea, you know?
that's
So
that's so interesting. You're still trying to make people feel something, right?
that's what we want. And our high is when we're able to perform or we're able to see the reaction of the audience or the reaction of our clients. There's no better feeling than when you're providing a client is like, I'm overwhelmed with the amount of leads, Rich. I'm happy. You feel good, and creative people like to make other people feel good.
I think that's really insightful. Yeah, it's. I mean, I feel the same way. Absolutely. What are some surprises, some things that caught you off guard? Let's say in the early days.
In the early days, so it's like, because I'm more sales oriented. And it's not that I'm not, I'm definitely, tech oriented and stuff like that. There's a certain level of patience that you have to have and slowing down almost to learn things properly. Okay. And I don't know if it's a generational thing, but it's like everybody, at least in my age bracket, we want to go quick. And before we even learn how to do things, we want to go quick. And so in the beginning, I'm like, okay, I have the idea, I know what to sell. And then I saw very quickly where I would get frustrated. So, when you're dealing with software that you depend on and then things you don't know how to do, and then waiting for somebody to help you fix it or reply, you could lose your mind. So I remember in the first year, I'm like, okay, cool. This part I have done. This part, these other parts of the business, not only I dislike them, I hate them. I need to find somebody just to take care of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. That's I totally get that. Okay, so one thing that I really, really like to talk about as an agency owner, I mean, there's so many things to love about running an agency, but let's be let's be honest. There's also a lot of things that keep us up at night. So,
Yes.
what if you could pinpoint, let's say, two or three of those biggest things that kept you up at night over the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years, and what were they, and how did you come out of that?
I'd love to tell you out of it all, but the reality is it's a process of refinement.
Mm,
Delegation is a huge thing. It's really it's not spoken about. It is spoken about in certain circles, but I really struggle with the delegation. Nobody could do it as good as me. There's just no way. You know, the level of detail, the way I want it done and stuff like that. So it's like you bring on people to the team, you forget that other people think and work differently. They do things in different orders and they have different ways of, they don't take the same level of importance that you're running your business. You want it to be A to Z the way you see it.
yep,
These guys
yep.
are getting paid for a job. And when they finish their day, they finish their day. And, Rich, I'm talking to myself. You forgot what that was like. When you finished your day at your 9 to 5, you finished your day, you know?
Yeah, when was the last time that happened?
No, yeah, exactly. Well, apart from the weekly Sabbath that I really am I'm obligated to like really close off my mind from work. Um, when you run an agency, you're thinking about clients all the time. Even when it's you get an email, you guys have some of these clients, they text you, uh, you know,
So what are some things that you found that worked for you to help making delegating easier? Because from my experience, I think that my biggest downfall over the years has been holding on too tightly to too many things, and then afterwards wondering why I'm doing so much, and it's because we hold on to it so hard. So I think that you hit the nail right on the head with delegation. So what are some tricks that you found, or some things, not even tricks, just things that you found that work
yeah,
for
it's
you?
it's it's always going to be the same. It's process, it's people, it's communication.
Hmm.
You have to have a process. It doesn't matter if it's not the best hack in the world. There has to be a clear process. So once you have the clear process, and the cool thing is that you know how to do it on your own. Then you have to learn how to communicate that process in all the finest details. So there's an element of patience there. And then you need the technology. So at one point we were running on ClickUp. Then somebody suggested we move to Monday. So I moved to Monday. And then once we defined our processes, and then once we defined the ways of communicating those processes, and that way the technology, it got a lot better. That's how I typically deal with it.
So that's such a good point, and I think that a lot of people, agency owners that I talk to, anyways, they're all. I'll put myself in that bucket. We're
Yeah.
we're all avoiding the thing that we know we need to do, which is generally get it out of our head
Yeah.
and get it into a process, because then that allows you to train, it allows you to teach, it allows you to educate, and ultimately delegate. Right? If it's out of your head, then it removes you from being that person that's constantly babysitting and checking over the work. One thing that I found that works really, really well, and this isn't a concept that I invented by any means. Actually, I think I first heard this concept in the book Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, and then more recently, Dan Martell has talked about it, and he calls it the camcorder method. But basically, most of us tell ourselves we don't have the time to create processes. We don't have the time because I'm too busy doing the work. When am I going to stop, and when am I going to write it down?
Yeah.
And the idea here is that the thing that you most that the thing that you're resisting doing is the thing that you most need to do. So how do we do that? Well, we remove the friction from it. So I don't know if you've ever tried something like this before, but for the listeners, this is something that's really, really powerful. Is if you're going to do the work anyways, record yourself doing the work. Record it on a screen capture. I like to use Loom, but record it and then talk your way through it as you're doing it. That way the transcript captures it. So now you have a training video. Not only that, then you can throw that transcript, if you want, into an AI tool through ChatGPT or something like that, and say, turn this into a step-by-step SOP for me. And so now you've removed the excuse of I don't have time to make processes because I did the work and now I have a video walkthrough of it and I also have a step-by-step SOP. And then what you can do is you can take that to your team and you can say, hey, Billy, those 4 things that you do that are really crucial that I can't afford to have you not do anymore, I'm going to have you also document it at the same time as you do it. So now you can train the next person I'm going to hire when we expand the team or what have you.
Brilliant. I love that. It's funny because I do a version of that when I meet with my team. It's like I almost get a what I'm looking for. I get it's easier for me to work when somebody's in front of me and there's things to do and I talk it out. I have the AI reporter on the back end and then it shoots the summary to the individual. But I didn't think about doing that when I'm alone because you gotta talk it out. You don't want just like a screen.
Exactly.
You got okay. Now I'm doing this and doing that. That's brilliant. Yeah. In fact, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say when you talk it out, it makes you realize where you're making logic jumps, and you have to stop and go, hold on, wait a minute, I'm
Right.
assuming some things here. Back up. There's actually an A and a B option here. How do I add that into the mix?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is it. The theory. I think we could all give classes on the theory. The practice is where, it comes back to that point originally. It's like there's this. I don't know, at least in me, I don't know if it's the ADHD, I don't know what the heck it is, but it's like, you just want to go fast.
Yes.
You just want to go fast. And the faster you get, the more intolerant you become of other people's non-comprehension.
Yes.
It just drives you nuts. This is what creates the stress and the frustration of running the agency. It can happen with the people that you work with. It can happen even with customers that don't reply in the way you think that they should reply,
Absolutely. That's so true. So how do you find you manage that for yourself? Because I feel like you're speaking to me about me right now, which makes me think that we have a type. So probably other people who are listening to you say this are like, he's talking about me. How do you manage that?
I try to, for me, work and personal life and spiritual life is very, very integrated. I really have to integrate everything. I can't separate them. Okay. They have their respective times. Don't get me wrong, but it's like the other day I had a situation where a client WhatsApped me. He's like, Rich, the 5K invoice came out yesterday. And we said that. What? It shocked me a little bit. My accountant maybe made a mistake, And I checked the agreement. I saw I was right. And I called him and he was a bit abrupt with me on the phone. And it bothered me. It triggered me. And I'm like, son of a gun, I'm in the right. Well, why is this guy freaking out? And then I just had to pause and think about what it would be like if I was in his situation.
Yeah.
You have to think about that. You know what I mean? Look, we're agency owners, but look, we subscribe to a bunch of different software. You know what that feeling when the frigging SaaS charges you hey, even if it's a couple $100, it's not a big deal. You don't like it. You do not like that feeling. This is a principle in life. It's like, why would you expect somebody else to like it? So it's like, so I have to have my internal checks and I have to be authentic with myself and, the people that I work with and the values that I believe in. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I have to right away. So, I talked to the guy, I apologized. And I said, this was my understanding. I actually have a ChatGPT. You're going to laugh. I have a ChatGPT based on NVC. It's called Non-Violent Communication Principles. It's like a methodology.
Wow.
It's called NVC.
Yeah.
My knee-jerk reaction is always what I write. And it's usually mean. Okay? It's like, what's the matter with you, Dad? That's all right. I write it in the ChatGPT. And then the NVC transforms it and it shows me how to reframe it. So for the first couple times I did this, I was amazed. I'm like, God, this is the way you're supposed to communicate with people. There's a way to do this with any type of confrontation. There's a way to do it. Okay? Where you acknowledge how the other guy is feeling. You say how you're feeling. You notice it and you try to come to a solution. The majority of salespeople or agency owners or just people in general, when they are in a conflict, they do not do that. they basically write exactly how they feel, and that's what creates that tension. So, answer your question, how do I have my ups and downs, but I'm very aware when I get triggered. Very, very aware. And when I get triggered, I become curious. I try to go inside and I try to see, okay, what's going on here?
That's genius. That is, I've never heard of that use case for ChatGPT, but that's fantastic, and you've inspired me to try that for myself as well. That's awesome because it also gives you an outlet to actually write out what you think, which I think is really really important. Is you need to get it out in some way. You don't want to repress it, but
Yes,
then
you have to express the egotistical knee jerk, like you're an idiot. You have to get that out because it's still inside of you.
it's there exactly, and it
If it
will
was
come out
not
in a
there,
different way.
yeah, if it was not there, you'd be able to do it naturally. But you're a work in progress. So I mean, there's so many cool things I'm doing with ChatGPT these days in AI.
Well,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
that's a great segue to one thing that I love to talk about, which is what are some interesting use cases that you found in your agency specifically for AI?
Well, I think the every agency owner today, um, depending on their makeup and how big they are, can understand that they can obviously use ChatGPT and different models for copywriting.
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
I was, I had a list of copywriters I used to work with. I don't necessarily need them anymore. I'm also very aware of like what types of things are working. There's certain principles I think that we see in the outbound today that is very, very clear. Um, Keeping emails short, no links, and there's a whole bunch of rules. You can train an AI model on that.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's obviously copywriting. I use, of course, AI recorders like most people, and on sales opportunities, I then take the transcript and then I put it again in my NVC little chat, and I like to make my sales emails very much in this direction. Like
Interesting.
yeah, I want to. I'm not trying to do like hard sales. I want to make sure that people they feel like I'm genuinely interested in trying to help them. So I use that for AI. What else? So there's the meetings, of course, any internal summary meetings. I mean, from an AI perspective, I do, interviews like this and all the content that comes out, again, is run through AI to, develop a mini micro content that's very useful. Then taking a video like this and then throwing it through AI to come up with LinkedIn posts, you know,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
there's just a ton of different ways that you can use this. And then there's something that's I've been itching to do. I haven't got my hands in it yet, but it's the newest Chat GPT, the $200 a month there, where you can actually
Yep.
build the agents.
Yep.
Um, I'm super excited to try that because I'm almost sure there are menial tasks that we can start to automate in the agency with this.
Definitely. Yeah, I think last night, I mean, when you're listening to this, this might be old news, but last night they just released the agency framework, I think. Or sorry, not the agency, the agent framework. Um,
Yes.
the SDK, which you can now start to actually connect things and get it to be
Right.
much more useful than it was before. So yes, super super cool. I'm really excited to dive into that. If only the day had 8 extra hours for all the things that I want to do
Yeah.
and all the AI tools that I want to check out.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna steer this a little bit back to your agency now. How has the agency changed since you started it?
Since I started, okay, so it used to be like me trying to do everything.
Yep.
And then I'm like, "Ooh, Rich, you hate sending invoices. You hate." It's like list all things you hate. So it's like, so, and then I started hiring people to do different jobs. So I split the agency in what I call, okay, so there's like sales efforts, right? There's sales. Then there's like project management, which is huge,
Yep.
and it's still I could say a healthy challenge to really manage the projects appropriately. I really like meeting with all the clients once a week. I try to do that. I have my project manager do that as well. Then the other part of so there's accounting, of course. That's another part of management. So I had to hire a full-time bookkeeper. It got, an agency bills a lot. There's changes, different contracts, different dates, reconciling the books. This is a big part of your brain, huh? That if it doesn't, or at least it takes a section of my brain, if it's not like managed well, it messes you up.
Well, and I just to interject real quick,
Yeah,
I think that a really common blind spot of most agency owners is the financial piece in general. Is it's generally, if you look under the hood, it's generally just a big pile of money, and money's coming in and money's going out, and it's not tracked. And then
that's
tax
right.
time comes, and it's a massive stress. Anyway, it's super common. So it sounds like you have a much stronger handle on that than most people.
Well, it's something that I was forced to really get into, and so it's like, okay, hiring a bookkeeper. Then there's like content creation. That's more on the marketing side of things. I start to take that a little bit more seriously. How does Provoke market themselves? And taking time for that. um and so it was project management. We said sales, marketing. There's something else probably. And then there was like all of like this AI research. I needed to have somebody that had a combination of, well, now they call it like GTM, go to market engineers. Okay. Like this is the newest state. Like
Yep,
it's,
yep.
you know what I mean? It's cool. It's like, okay. It's like you almost know how the guy is. Like, do you know Clay? Yeah, okay, I know Clay. Do you know Zapier and Make, and like if they have the combination of like Clay or Dave,
Instantly and Apollo
yeah,
and all that.
if they have these both, it's a very, very unique um expertise. And these are individuals that they need to be creative like the agency owner, and they need to know how to implement the automation and to have the patience to do it. Okay. So I needed those types of resources, so that I could be free in my mind and feel like they're taking care of this particular issue.
How did you go about prioritizing which ones to go after first?
In terms of those different, I don't know if this is always the right. The top of my priority is making sure that I have happy clients, and I have constant campaigns going out for Provoke, so I can generate leads and get new contracts, because there's a serious churn even if you do well in an agency.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's very rare. I've had clients that stuck with me for 12 months. We still have great relationships to this day, but it's not everybody. The majority of them are going to stick with you from 3 to 6 months. This is the majority. I didn't know that before starting the agency. I said, "Oh, okay, this guy's paying me 3K a month. This is going to last forever." No, it's not going to last forever. You know. So I had to make sure that the money thing is at the top of the. That's how I prioritized it. That's really what I did. And then, of course, the project management probably is right there too. Making sure that the project manager is on top of Monday, which is the project management tool that we use. And we implemented this like little methodology. We called it CRC, client review. Forgot the other C. CRCs. So my project manager, he made it up, and basically because I saw that every single time I would do a Zoom with my internal team, we talk about the same time things for each client. So like, guys, let's write this down. Every single time we review a client, what are we talking about? What are we checking off? Almost like a check off list.
Yeah.
Now they can do those CRCs on their own and then make decisions on their own without me always in the trenches saying, "Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do that."
It's giving them kind of a roadmap, some kind of like blueprint to follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's chat a little bit now about what specifically you do at Provoke Agency, or what Provoke Agency in general does.
Uh-huh.
Share your wisdom, share your expertise. How are you helping clients?
So it's obviously the core of what I do is outbound. Okay, so cold email, I do LinkedIn automation, and I do content creation. I try to um, integrate those three. I've moved away from calling myself a lead generation agency, even though the majority of people that come to me, they want leads. I understand that. But I've learned with experience that there's really different categories of customers. And there are some customers that I've had and that I still have that you give them a good lead, they really know what to do with it. They're good salespeople. They have a good infrastructure. They also have a certain attitude that when they get a lead, if they go after it. And if a lead falls away, they're not broken. There's other types of customers that if the guy says, take me off your email list, they're broken and they're going to complain to you.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, so you learn. So I started saying, okay, I can't, like, I don't want to call myself a lead gen agency anymore. I want to, I see a lot of people talk growth agency, growth. What the heck's a growth agency, Yeah. And then I started getting in and started listening to it. I'm like, yeah, this is more like, I'm here to help you grow. And when you say that, that means a lot of different things. First of all, it's vague. Okay. But it's up to you to define it. So when I do my contract, says, yeah, I'm never gonna tell you how many leads I'm gonna generate for you. I don't do that. I'm not gonna sell you air. Okay. There's some campaigns that work, some that bomb, and somewhere in the middle. Okay. So I'm gonna help you generate opportunities. I'm gonna help you generate good content and help you try to monetize that. Then I'm gonna try to coach you if you're coachable and you're open to it from a technology perspective. I'm gonna see what type of CRM you're using. From an automation perspective, I'm gonna integrate some automations. I'm gonna integrate everything that I have in my agency in yours, and I'm gonna call this growth. So for example, the same way I can automate my proposals, I'm gonna do that for you too.
that's cool.
And what happens is now the client is not evaluating anymore. And Rich, I got 13 leads last month. It's because, hey, I've helped you automate your proposals. You have an automation now going for your content. You have multiple, automated wires now that are going out that's helping you improve your business. There's value there. Okay. Then of course there's the opportunity. Then it's like, well, what do I do with those leads? How do I approach them? So I found that that's what Provoke really does. We're a growth agency. Yes, the channels that we're most comfortable today are outbound. So it's cold email, it's LinkedIn, and it's video content creation.
Very cool. So if I were a customer thinking about working with Provoke Agency, how would you describe the process so that I could kind of understand what happens next?
Yeah, obviously the opportunity is the client is looking for growth in terms of new customers. So the first thing I do, since we mentioned the stories in the beginning, is I'm a big fan of Donald Miller, so I do StoryBrand. It's the first
Oh,
thing.
yeah, love Donald Miller.
Yeah, it's the first thing I do. I really want to understand. I see that the majority of companies, they usually have a problem with messaging, and this is crucial for lead gen because if you're talking all about you, the client ain't gonna really connect to that. And if it's misrepresented on the website, so from a campaign perspective, I can message any the way I want, but then I want to make sure that the audience is basically easy to find. Okay, if it's not easy to find, I can still do a great campaign, but I really need to understand how am I going to get to this audience? What are the signals? What is the intent? It's another big thing in our industry. I think a lot of people are talking about intent and signals and stuff like that for prospects. And so that's where I start. I start with the story brand. And once I have the story brand, then I'm going to brainstorm different types of sequences. And we're going to put a campaign in motion that's going to be cold email. It's going to be LinkedIn. And the video content creation stuff I found to be really helpful, especially when you need to educate and make the audience aware of who you are, what you're doing. You're connecting with people on LinkedIn, they're gonna want to see your face. And if you don't want to be a guy on or girl on, in front of the camera, well, you got to be posting on LinkedIn to a certain degree, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be weird if you're sending messages and like, there's like nothing on your profile. So I found that that was very, very important for the social selling aspect. That's where we start with clients. We try to understand who they're trying to reach. And I can tell you right away, there's a lot of clients. They're in a certain market. They cannot pinpoint to you who the decision maker is, and it's a problem. It's a problem to work with them because it's like you have to guess, and if you don't get the results, they're gonna blame you.
Yeah, that's such a common trait of a lot of clients is when they come in and you realize that they don't have the information they need to be successful. So you're trying to be successful on their behalf. So then what do you do? Do you help them to get that information or?
So it's another thing. Part of this whole growth definition is it's almost not now. I'm consulting and offers because what I've seen the trend is for cold email. It's finished the days of like, hey, I'm going to send you a calendar. Let's book 15 minutes. In the COVID days, like, yeah, sure. Like, Zoom, fun. Nobody wants to do that today. You can't. There's only so many Zoom. First of all, from an email perspective, you can't send with links and all this other, technical stuff. But you got to create cold emails with the angle of super low friction, and it's like giving away a tremendous amount of value. Okay. So now you start getting into opportunities with clients where you have to help them and coach them on the offer. And this could be problematic for some clients because they're not familiar with the concept. You have to explain it to them. Why should I give something away? I hired you, Rich, so that you can get me opportunities. I got to pay you now, and I got to give this to the guy just so that, you know what I mean? So you have to, it's a mind shift.
Yep.
It was also a mind shift for me. Me too. I thought it was stupid in the beginning until I started seeing it and using it and getting easy yeses. Now I saw that the easier the yes, the more engagement, the closer I can bring this to an opportunity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So it's the what I saw most recently. It's I have to start coaching. Like I was just dealing with a guy who does strategic branding and websites. Okay, there's a million of those guys out there. A lot of them are freelancers. Some of them are super talented, and they want to do lead gen, but they don't know how. They don't have a brand name that's recognizable. Some of them don't want to post on LinkedIn. So it's like, what do? You really have to, and they all want to like pitch things that are like jargon in their industry that nobody even cares about. It's you're not going to start pitching strategic branding because you know the amount of work that it takes. Nobody knows the amount of work that's going to take. You have to pitch something that the guy says, "Whoa, that's valuable." Like I need that.
This is something that I've been saying in a lot of calls, and I think I made a recent LinkedIn post about it. But basically, like, if we look at it in terms of like parents and children, as a parent, you know that your child needs to eat vegetables, but good luck getting them to eat vegetables. But maybe you can get them to eat vegetables after you've given them a little bit of ice cream first. And it's much easier to sell them on the idea of having ice cream. And bonus points if you can make sure that ice cream is a little healthy as well. Like there's different ways to go in, but you need to take advantage of the human psychology aspect of it first. No one is going to agree to something that they don't understand and don't believe in until you've first given them what they think they need, basically.
Bingo. It's really that. It's I think our ability as agency owners to simplify complexity. This is extremely valuable. This is what we do. We're always trying to simplify something that is.
It's like what your website says, which is cutting through the noise to help your company grow.
Yes.
Richard, this has been a awesome conversation.
Likewise.
I loved having you on. Where can people find out more about Provoke Agency?
You can find me on LinkedIn under Richard Mechaly, my website, Provoke Agency, TikTok, Instagram, all that other stuff under Provoke. And yeah, I mean, if we're a good fit, I'd love to help them out. And yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. We'll put some of those links in the show notes. And until next time, see you guys later.
Take care.
This episode is brought to you by the Agency Uplift community, where you can get free access to tools to help grow your agency.